intro didn't necessarily work tonight. I don't know what's going on there, but well, welcome to NRL SC off the bench. No intro, without an intro tonight.
We don't need one, mate.
We've
We've been playing this game for long enough.
All right, well, tonight we're just going to have a quick look at the SC finals. Don't forget there is a overall competition too that we've got running, and it's the geez, I have to get that code up again, Timmy, or have you got it close at hand?
No, but you keep talking, I'll find it.
No, it's 171-086. 171-086 is the overall code. I will be saying that again throughout the podcast, and we'll sort of keep reminding you. Get that get your that's the NRL Supercoach Finals. Get your team in there. There's quite an interest, actually. There's quite a few already in that league. So jump in, just manages to, you're able to measure how you're going off everyone else as well. But we'll talk about a few intricacies of the finals. It is very different. So good to see it back because we get back into super coaching again. All right. So how are you going there, Timmy? How'd you finish your year off?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate. Was actually a really good year for me. Finished strong. Holding trades was absolutely the right thing to do. I saved trades in the first 2 rounds, saved a few trades throughout Origin as well, and just at other key points during the season, so I could go a bit trade crazy late on. What was actually quite interesting is sort of rounds 23, 24, 25, I don't think I actually used a trade and still kept 3 or 4 in the bank there for those last couple of rounds. So it probably was detriment to my head-to-head cash comps, I guess you would say, as I bowed out of both of those in the major semi-final. But yeah, as for overall, I finished, was about 4,500 spot, I think 4 something or somewhere around about there, which is about a 10 or 12K jump from last season's horrendous finish, but even terrible start. Look, to be brutally honest, mate, I think I started the season in about inside the top 10K. And I think the highest ranking spot I went to all season was about 15, and that was for 1 round, and then jumped back up to about 8K. I had 3 red arrows all year, which I was pretty stoked with. 3 red arrows all year. Finished round 27 with a 16.42, and don't get me wrong, I still left a lot of points out there. I looped Reece Walsh. Figured his 130 was going to be good enough. Little did I know that bloody 10,000 other players, every man and his dog, was going to ton up after that. I did have the captaincy on Nathan Cleary, which was a little bit frustrating. And I did ask for some support in our Podmasters chat group. Asked some of the guys, said, look, I'm off to a flying start, looking really good. Want to try and get inside the top 3K if I could. And asked for some suggestions, or I made some suggestions to some of the hierarchy in there about who maybe I should drop to loop Reece Walsh. And I made the decision to drop Aaron Clark. Unfortunately, he then knocked out one of his biggest scores for the year and turned up. So I dropped Aaron Clark. I traded in Dylan Edwards. With my final trade from Drinky to Dylan Edwards. So there there's 80 or 90 points there. So yeah, look, I think my Edwards dropped out of my score anyway. Then I think my lowest score was maybe Chanel Harris-Tavita. I think he came in as my AE. So yeah, the long and the short of it, I think I crunched the numbers. I finished with a 16.42. I think if I didn't loop, I would have finished on a 17.38. So 96 points better off, which was going to put me inside the top 4K, but not quite inside the top 3. So, yeah. So anyway, such is life. That's the way it goes. But no, mate, all in all, a really cracking year. Best one I've had for probably 2 or 3 years, I think. So yeah, I was pretty happy. There's a lot of things, a lot of pluses to come out of this season, and I'm sure we'll talk about it after Supercoach Finals is done and dusted. But, yeah, there's certainly some things that I will be making sure I do next year, and some things that I won't be doing next year, that's for sure.
Yeah, there'll be a few things I won't be doing, that's for sure. But anyway, no, mine was my poor result was probably more due to there was a bit of luck in it. You know, when you captain somebody who normally averages around about 90 points a week and he gets 6 points in 1 week, that's just luck. And yeah, unfortunately I bounced off a few bad ones there this year. But no, look, I finished okay. I finished really strong. The last 10 weeks were fantastic. It's just too far away to try to make up headway. Unfortunately, finished with over 1,700 the last round, as did most of the top scorers. Timmy, so do you want to give a shout out to the overall winner and how did you do it?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Shout out to Vafan. I hope I've got that right. Vafan, Vafan. I don't know if that's an actual name or short for something, but we'll go with that anyway. The bloke's name or the person's name is Finn. Total point score of 36,483. So to put that in perspective, beat me by 2,000 points, and I was 4,500 ranks behind him. So that shows you how well the guys at the very top absolutely did. The top 10 finishers in the end for the competition all had late 1600s, early 17s into 18s for the final round. So a lot of those guys that finished right up there obviously had well-stacked teams or still kept trades right through to the end. I'm not sure how much movement there was. It looks as though Finn did have it tied up, just going purely off points. Looks like he was the leader going into round 27, so at least he held that off. Had a team value for anyone who's kept an eye on that of 16,191,000. So even in that top 10 was not the most expensive team in there. There was a few even with a couple of 100K more than what his team value was. So it does make a big difference. But yeah, basically it looks like the top 5 pretty much stayed roughly where they were, or the top 3 did anyway. I think third went to second. But yeah, that was about it. So yeah, massive shout out to Finn. Well done.
Good work, Finn. Well, love a winner. Enjoy that 50 grand, mate. Well done. Certainly played very well this year. Shout out to Craig from Dino Dancers. I think he took out our in-house league. Congratulations, mate. We'll be in contact fairly shortly. He came 9th overall, maintained the rage all the way through to the end. I think he had near an 1,800 to finish up, so certainly maintained the rage. So I know what it likes to finish 9th, mate, because I've been there myself. So well done to Craig. You've done well, man.
And he actually jumped from 11th to 9th in the last round. So yeah, well done there. So he would have kept his tracksuit anyway, because it is the Colonel's Secret 11 that get the tracksuit, isn't it? So yeah, he jumped from 11th up to 9th. So yeah, top 10 finish, mate. Well done, Craig, and thanks for supporting us with Off the Bench as well.
Great stuff. All right, well, we're going to have a quick look tonight. That's enough of going back. We will have a season preview in a few weeks' time, but at the moment today, we've got to get ready for Supercoach Finals. It's on this weekend. Yeehaw! The Supercoach Finals is back, and for those that haven't played it, get in there, register your team. As we just said before, our overall code. God, I've gone and forgotten it again, but that's okay. I'll remember it before the end of the show.
Post it up on the screen. We'll leave it there for a while.
I'll have to do that. Hey, Ross, I can see you're listening. Can you write me the code there so I can quickly post it up?
That'll be much easier. Yeah, it looks like we've got Roscoe in there. Ross is a little bit under the weather at the moment, so he's watching on from the sidelines. And Joey Alchin, world #1 fan for Off the Bench. Joey from the Ruck Infringement. If you haven't checked out his podcast and the boys, they do a cracking pod themselves. So yeah, get in there, check them out. Ruck Infringement with Joey Alchin and his mates. Yeah, Joey's into it already.
Well, he reckons that you're going to stack your finals team with Broncos players. Well, for those people that are new to finals, there's one big problem with that. You're only allowed 2 players in the first round from each team. So that means you can't have 3 Broncos, and you can't have 3 Storms, etc., etc. You can only get 2 from any one particular team.
I reckon it's pretty safe to say that the 2 Broncos I've got in my team, mate, are probably the same 2 Broncos that every man and his dog's got in their team as well.
Oh, I don't know. We'll have a look at that. We will have a look. But okay, we'll start right at the top at hooker. Right. I mean, I guess our hooker options are fairly clear. A lot of people will go Harry Grant, but then that limits your other options you can take from the Melbourne Storm, doesn't it? If you do go Harry Grant.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And my biggest concern, I think this is going to be the toughest game. I think it's going to be the closest game, unless something happens, key injuries or something along those lines. Weather change, Lord knows the Dogs can't play in the rain. So if rain's forecast in Melbourne for that one, who knows? But look, my honest opinion, I think this will be the closest game out of all of them, certainly for round one of the finals. And I'm actually pretty much staying away from this game in particular. I'm not stacking.
Oh, you going game by game, are you? I was going position by position.
No. I'm talking purely position with regards to Harry Grant. Yeah. So I think that's going to be the closest game, and I'm actually staying away from Storm and Dogs players for round one of the finals.
It has been a bit of a dog's breakfast hooker this year at times. Certainly, Blake Brayley is the number one hooker at the moment. If you don't have too many Cronulla players to choose from, he certainly could be a very tidy option, as is Connor Watson, which is where I'm going. I'm steering clear of Harry Grant because I want my two Storm players to fill other positions. Who are you considering here at hooker?
Yeah, mate, I've gone Blake Brayley at the moment. I didn't actually own Blake Brayley all season, and that might have made a bit of a difference for me had I brought him in. But look, I went with Kurt Donahue for most of the second half of the season, as yourself and Roscoe did as well. But look, absolutely, I think now's the opportunity where I can grab Blake Brayley, and I think he's just going to be a set and forget for as long as the Sharkies are in the comp.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I've gone for Connor Watson just for a bit of safety there for my liking. Now, you can only, as well, the other thing with Supercoach finals, you can only get one player per position. And this becomes particularly pertinent for the front row forward, because I think just about everybody is going to do exactly the same here.
Yeah, look, last time I checked earlier this afternoon, hold on, I'll scroll down right now and see if it's changed anything. So Payne Haas, I'm assuming, is the man of the moment that you're talking about. He's currently owned by 83% of those playing. So if you're not running with Payne Haas, I don't know what you're thinking, but that's got Payne Haas as being 83% owned in front row forward. So there is a chance that maybe people could be running Tapane, Aaron Clark, something like that in front row, and Payne Haas could be down in the flex. Is that correct? Is this positional based?
No, it's not positional based. That would just be his overall ownership.
Okay. Yep. So there you go. So 83% means 17% are doing something completely left field, or they're 8 years old and don't know who Payne Haas is.
It is okay to be left of field, because in order to make headway in Supercoach finals, you do have to get some pods. I'm not sure the front row position is the one to do it. It makes it very, very difficult indeed. Now, our next position, though, you're going to get a fair bit of you are going to get some pod sort of action.
Absolutely.
Eli Katoa certainly comes right into it. Aaron Clark comes right into it. Hudson Young comes right into it. All three of those, I would certainly consider. Jacob Preston for number 4 as well. I couldn't go against any of those four. Those four seem to scream pick me, either any one of them, yeah?
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And so many of them have been in and out of form throughout most of the season, but as a whole, the top 4 or 5 are definitely the top 4 or 5 second rowers in there. Look, at the moment, I've gone Aaron Clark. I am really keen on Hudson Young as well. I think especially for my Broncos, sad but true, our second row defence has been abysmal for about 3 or 4 years, and our second row stocks haven't really changed a great deal in that time. Piakura's come in and out over the course of this season, but Jordan Ricky's been there for a while now, and let's be honest, those two boys are flat out tackling a wet bag sometimes. So look, at the moment, I've gone Aaron Clark. I would like to bring Hudson Young in because I think that he is a massive chance of scoring on his left-hand side for the Raiders in the last semi-final.
Yeah. I'm going to go I've gone Eli Katoa. I've gone for a Melbourne pick here. Number one all year. I think down in Melbourne, I still can't really go against him, but that's just for me.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say against is the fact that he definitely has a higher average of scoring when Jerome Hughes is in the side. Now, Jerome hasn't been picked. They have gone with Tyrone Wishart in the halfback spot for the Storm for game one. So, look, that would be something that was the thing that turned me off. I know Katoa scored quite well last week when Hughes was back out. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's, for me personally, it's just a gut thing. I've gone against Ellie because I just think he doesn't score as well when Jerome's not there.
Okay. Sorry, I was just doing something. Yeah, I might change that yet. You never know. But, at the moment, I think he's about the only Melbourne player I actually have, which is a bit scary, I know. But anyway, that moves us on to a fairly contentious, well, it shouldn't be that contentious, halfback position. I'm assuming most people are going to slot Cleary.
Yeah, look, I've gone there for the moment. Again, another one who's 83%, 83% owned in his halfback position. Look, I think he's not only is he high owned, but I can imagine he'll be highly captained or vice captained. Just for those who haven't checked the rules yet with regards to your vice captain and captaincy picks each week, unlike the regular season super coach where you can VC loop and whatever else, in finals football for super coach, your captain score is multiplied by 3, and your vice captain score is doubled. So your captaincy score is tripled, your vice captain score is doubled. You do not have to mess around with loopholes or anything like that. For obvious reasons, we've got our flex, and it's only your best 7 scores that go through. So if by chance your captaincy score is less than your flex, then that will drop out, or your vice captain score, same thing. Obviously, that's going to put you behind the 8 ball. As far as overall goes. But yeah, so that's the deal. Your captaincy tripled, your vice captaincy doubled, and I think Nathan Cleary for a lot of people will be set and forget for as long as the Panthers are still in contention for finals footy.
Yeah, we will talk about the flex position a bit later because it's, I'm not going to mention who mine is just yet, so we'll have a look at that now. 5/8, this is where you can get really funky.
Hold the phone. Maybe look at some of the other prospects in halfback. I think most people, like we just said, 83% are on Nathan Cleary. Look, I think there's a world where you can absolutely go Nicho Hynes if you think that Nicho is going to do well. Sharks versus Roosters.
Yep.
Yep. So Sharks at Shark Park on Saturday evening against the Roosters. So if you think that he can continue the form that he's been in of late, then yeah, absolutely jump on Nicho Hynes. The other one would obviously be Sam Walker. I think he's going to be highly owned as well as a bit of a pod play. I've heard of a few guys that are looking at running Sam Walker and Nathan Cleary and run one or the other down through the flex position. But yeah, absolutely. Me personally, I can see the Roosters putting a cricket score on the Sharks. I think the Sharks are going to go out in the first round, despite the fact that they are playing at Shark Park. If the Roosters turn up, mate, they've got it in the bag as far as I'm concerned. Their best footy has been much better than, let's be honest, most of the comps this year. The downside is their average footy has been pretty average, but I think since Sam Walker's been back, they've just looked at a completely different footy team, and the results are on the board for them. So, look, I think they will go to Daniel Tupou and Mark Nwonga-Nitawaze all night, and they'll go out wide, and that's where the points will be scored.
Absolutely. No, that sounds fair. Overall code, remember, folks, 181086. It is flashing along at the bottom of the screen there now.
171086. 171086.
What did I say?
181. Let's not get confused.
778, they both look the same. No, 171086. I do apologise for that. All right, now we're going to have a look at the 5/8 because, wow, this position could throw up anything.
Yep.
And you can get real funky here if you want.
Absolutely, mate. There's lots of different ways to do this. And I think with some dual positions in play as well, you can probably go a couple of different ways also. Look, for me personally, I've gone with Ethan Strange, another player who I haven't had in my side all year. As much as I think the Broncos will beat the Raiders on Sunday afternoon, Ethan Strange is somebody who does scare the bejesus out of me. I think of all your positions in finals, I think the 5'8" is the one that you can go a little bit curly with. So yeah, look, every man and his dog's going to be on Munster. I'm just concerned that there's not going to be a lot of points scored in that Dogs Storm game. At which point, my two picks would be Ethan Strange or what's his name, Blaze Talangi from Panthers, because I think that game has a potential to be a really high-scoring game over in NZ as well, with Panthers worth the Warriors.
And just a little hint to those that I'm playing, that's who I've gone. Blaze Talangi is the bloke that I penciled in for that exact reason there, Tim. Decided to go a little bit funky, like I said, and get a little bit different. Like you, I don't think the Melbourne game, I think Munster might get his usual 60 to 70 points, and that might be about his where there could be a little bit of a high ceiling if there's a lot of points scored over there in New Zealand. We just don't know. Now, anything else you want to add to the centres?
Oh no, look, I think you could maybe if you're nuts and want to go something completely crazy, I think you could look at somebody like Billy Walters. I think if the way the Broncos have been playing over the last few weeks, shaking his head. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he's got the high ceiling that some of the other players do. But depending on who you want to pick from each team, if you can only take two players from each team, and that's something that you've got to consider. I think like I said before, the 5'8" position is somewhere where you can go a bit curly and a bit different. So if you don't already have two Broncos and you have got players from other teams and you're trying to find a spot there for a 5'8", I think Billy Walters could be something very left field.
No. No, I cannot agree with that, but that's okay.
I've had Chanel Harris-Tavita in my team since round one. So yeah. Anyway, I don't reckon I could go there. He's good for a 40 to 80, and yeah, everything else is just scary.
Now, if you're going to get funky in the 5'8", this next position is the one where you should go really nuts, because you're looking for a high ceiling player. We're not looking for necessarily the best Supercoach player. This is finals. You want somebody who's going to score you 140, who's got 3 tries in them, who's got 2 try assists in them. That's what we're looking for in this position, only for Supercoach finals. Who is just going to go a bit silly? What are you doing?
Yeah, look, for me personally, mate, I've jumped on Casey McLean. I think, like I said, I reckon there's going to be some points over there in New Zealand. And I think that his try-scoring form for the second half of the season, especially ever since he fully cemented his spot in the team, he's just been solid out on that left-hand side. And I reckon that's the weaker side of the Warriors for defence. And look, I think Casey McLean is it wouldn't surprise me if he doubles, triples, whatever, which generally for him is not necessarily a massive score. But I think if he can get me 80, 90 solid, something like that, then I'm going to be pretty happy.
Yeah, right. That sounds pretty fair. The most popular you would think would be I actually don't have. Where do those stats come up now?
Straight down underneath. If you go all the way down, just scroll down underneath your team. At the moment for centre wing, looks like Mark Nwanganitawaze.
Yeah, they have to be.
Yep, at 43%. I could imagine Daniel Tupou would be right up there. I would be thinking that Nick Meaney from the Storm, especially with Pappenhausen not playing, Nick Meaney will take up his duties as fullback, but also goal-kicking fullback. So, yeah, I think he'll be somebody else that could fit in there. I think if you don't want to go with Blaze Talangi in at 5'8", you could obviously then play him down at centre wing as well. I'm assuming he's still dual, or he hasn't lost the dual throughout this, Brad? You got him on in your team. Is he on your screen?
Well, I'm on a different screen, but yeah, bear with me now. You've got me going from one screen to another. Blaze Talangi, no, he only looks like he's available in. Yeah, they don't do it like that. He's only available as a 5'8".
Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't work then. Yeah. But obviously some others you could look at is obviously Ronnie Mulatalo. You were all over him for the second half of the season. He's got a really high ceiling. I think that there's a few other guys in there that you could go as well. I think Tony Staggs, he's been in sensational form. over the last 6 to 8 weeks. You could certainly go with a pod play there if you're looking for a Bronco to throw in there. Look, let's be honest. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck has been sensational for the last pretty much since Origin finished. Even though he's obviously not Origin eligible, but I think since about that period of time, he's been turning up as much as anybody else has, and his scores have been fairly consistent. So, yeah, look, absolutely. I think you could go good old Rog, and he will do you a job there for the first round of the finals at least.
Yeah, my real crazy one. Look, I've got Daniel Tupou in there at the moment. This might well change. But you certainly, there's no, look, if you want to get funky, go Ronnie. If Ronnie has a good day, he has a high ceiling. There's no doubt in that. And another bloke that can get a very high ceiling, if you think it's going to be a crazy game, for Canberra, is Tamale, and nobody's going to own him much. So if you want a point of difference, a pod, Tamale could quite well be it. If you think Gurmat Shabansky, but he hasn't really been in try-scoring form of late, I would probably steer clear well of the old Gurmat.
I think he's going to have a bit of a point to prove after getting the flick last week for turning up to training drunk. I reckon he is going to be playing his backside off, mate, because he is in a contract year. He was only given a 12-month contract with the Broncos, or I think originally it was train and trial. So, mate, I think he's going to be trying his best to play out of his skin. They dropped Jesse Arthurs to put him back into the side. So I think he's a great shout, Shibasaki. I also think Matt Tomoko down at the Raiders on the other side could be odds on as well. So I think the Broncos, like I said, the Broncos outside, the second row defense, outside edges defense is actually really poor. However, you've got guys there in Dean Mariner was really solid last week, and also Katoni Staggs both in defense. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that game's going to be an absolute belter.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I think there's going to be some points in it. I do think that. As long as there's a bit of a dry track.
I think it'll be a 30, 28, 32, 26, something like that. I can see a lot of points being scored in it, like you said.
All right, that brings us down now to our fullback position. This is the last year regular positions. I'm assuming quite a lot of people will be on James Tedesco, but I reckon this could be pretty much equalled out by the likes of Reece Walsh and Ryan Pappenhausen. All three of them you would think would be fairly even in the even there.
It would be, however, Pappy wasn't named. Remember, so
Nick right. Yeah,
Nick Meaney's at fullback. So
yep.
The other one that I think for most of the season scored okay was obviously Dylan Edwards. My concern would be he was given an early shower last week. Now that might have been to just give him a bit of extra rest after he had the week off the week before, but I'm assuming the fact that they took him off with about 25, half an hour to go or whatever, maybe there's a bit of a niggle there or something that they are slightly concerned about and just wanted to give him a bit more extra time. So, look, for me personally, I was thinking Dylan Edwards would be the right play him with Cleary. They do play finals footy very well. However, I couldn't go there at the moment. I've gone with James Tedesco. I think tried and true. He finished the season really strongly. And I think the Roosters are going to have an absolute belting finals campaign.
Well, you're going to love this, Timmy. I've gone the old Reese. I've gone the fingernail man. I've gone for the painted fingernails. Don't know why. I normally steer clear of him. So just because I normally do steer clear of him, this time I'm going to jump on him. Go to painted fingernails.
Absolutely. You've only got to look at the form that he's been in. 150s for the last week where he scored 130-something, 135 I think he finished on in the end. The previous 4 weeks from memory were all 150-plus. So, look, mate, you can't go wrong there. And like we said, we've already alluded to, we're pretty confident that the Broncos-Raiders game is going to be high-scoring. If it's high-scoring, I absolutely bet your backside that Reece Walsh is going to be heavily involved in it, especially the way that they're playing at the moment. Now with Adam Reynolds out and Ezra Mam out as well, I think those guys will be on fire, and Reece will certainly have his hands on the ball plenty.
Yeah. I don't mind the Reece call. We've just had a comment come in from one corrupted Love your name, mate. That's a
Correct.
cracker. That's a cracker of a name.
Love it.
He says up the wires, so obviously either a Kiwi folk. He's listening through Facebook. Thanks very much for tuning in. He's either a Kiwi or he loves the Kiwis, which there is such a following over here of them. They've certainly got they've got it up against them, but look, anything can happen in finals, and you just never know. It's a do or die.
Massive thing in their favour, mate, is obviously having the game over in NZ. It's going to make a massive big difference. I think they will be hanging off the rafters over there. They will fill the stadium with as many Kiwi supporters as they possibly can. Maybe they lock all the Panthers out. I don't know. But obviously, Ivan's youngest son is a Warrior over there in reserve grade or New South Wales Cup, whatever you guys call it down your way. So, yeah, a bit of a family affair. Maybe Dad's going to wear a split shirt. No, probably not. But, yeah, I'd imagine the younger brother will certainly be giving plenty of grief to the older one, regardless of how the result goes.
Yes, well, Cleary was a coach of the Warriors at one stage, so we must remember that. All right, our flex position. I'm going to reveal you mine.
Show me yours. I'll show you mine.
Drum roll. I've got Nico Hines as my flex at the moment.
Yeah, righto. That's like we were saying before. There's a few people that are looking at Cleary and Sam Walker and Nico, moving the three around and trying to work out how that's going to best fit. Look, mate, I've gone for the nail polish man himself in Reece Walsh. He's done wonders for me over the last few weeks. So, yeah, look, I brought him in 3 weeks ago and he's been great. Unfortunately, I went 2 weeks too late, but I did start the season with him and held on until Origin. So, yeah, look, I think he's going to be fantastic for the Broncos. The way that he's played over the last month of footy has just been sensational. He's not pushing the envelope as much as he was 6 or 8 weeks ago. And certainly he seems to be a bit of a different player over this last month of footy. So absolutely hats off to him. He's obviously had some really good mentors there at the club. Don't get me wrong. He's made some silly online decisions and things like that. But as far as his footy goes, yeah, look, mate, he's turned a corner and I hope he stays that way. Don't get me wrong. We love it when he does push things, but he's got to push things in moderation, I guess is probably the right way to say it when you're on the park.
I don't know if you saw it. You probably, you wouldn't have, but in the NFL this week, and the first round was just on, a bloke got fined $53,500 for spitting inside his helmet in the direction of another player.
Yeah, wow.
So he's got his helmet visor on, so he spat at the player, but of course he can't reach the player because his helmet's sort of on. But yeah, he's got done $53,500 for that. So Reece Walsh, you're very lucky, son. That's all I can say. That you played the game that we do over here and not.
But let's be honest, even like Reece Walsh is one of the highest paid players in the game, or he will be before too much longer, I'd imagine. But $53K to an NFL player, like that's ashtray change, isn't it? Or you just find that $100K just stuck behind the couch cushion. Oh, geez, is that where I left that? I was going down the shop for bread and milk and dropped my $100K somewhere. So 53, got to keep it clean, I guess.
All right, before we do wrap up, I'll just pass one comment on everything we've been chatting about. Did you realise that neither of us had mentioned there was a slight passing reference to one, but a single Bulldogs player?
Yeah, look, the only one I'd be interested in is maybe Jacob Kiraz. He is on the extended bench, so if he comes in, he is definitely one that you would need to consider. The guy tackle breaks for fun, and he's great at offloading. So if you think there's going to be a little bit of that, and let's be honest, the Storm can be a little bit loose out wide. So if Jacob Kiraz is on the wing, I would take him on the wing more so than if he's in centres. And I think if he is named, there's probably, sadly, more chance that he ends up in the centres. But look, if he's named and he's named on the wing, absolutely, he's one of the high ceiling centre wings that you can go for. With his tackle busting and offloading ability. The only other one, maybe if you're looking at either of the halves, Lockie Galvin, if you want something completely left field.
He's out, isn't he? In a Toby Sexton?
No, they dropped Reid Marnie and put Sexton in, was what I read earlier this afternoon.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I haven't really read too much. I've been very busy.
Yeah, no, I think that's what was written online. I haven't checked it from any reportable sources. I think it was just something that came through the Podmasters chat group. But yeah, absolutely. If you want to look at something left field, you could go with Matt Burton, obviously goal kicking half, or the other knucklehead I just said before, the splitter.
So who were we just talking about? Oh, yeah,
Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs game there.
I guess if you wanted to do something again, left field in centre wing and bank some points, maybe Stephen Crichton. Again, depends if he's goal kicking, then absolutely you could certainly go with him. But depends if he's got the tee or if Burton's got the tee, I guess.
Yeah, Toby Sexton's not actually in.
Okay.
Yeah. Their team is Connor Tracy, Rinkarama, Tuala, Crichton, Blake Wilson, Matt Burton, Galvin, King, Hayward, Hughes, Kickout, Preston, Jamin Salmon, and the bench, Kurt Mann, Tupanua, Josh Curran, and Reid Mahoney.
Yeah.
Maybe Sexton is in the extended bench along with Jacob Carrasso.
Yep. So what I read earlier was that Marnie was being dropped off the bench and Sexton going in. But yeah, I can neither really confirm nor deny that. Yeah, like you said, I guess if you in your second row, you could go Preston. He knocked out 150 a couple of weeks ago. Billy Kicks would obviously be another alternative you could go. But yeah, I guess it's going to come down to how you really want to play this. Like, is it just for shits and giggles because it's finals and it doesn't sort of mean anything? It's obviously for 4 weeks in total. So I don't even know what the prize is, to be brutally honest. So if you win, maybe it's just maybe there's a couple of extra newspapers in there for you for next year or something. I don't quite know. But yeah, look, I think depends if you want to play, how you want to play it. Are you just going to pick a whole team with all high ceiling players, or are you going to try and bank some points in there somewhere, and that might make the difference with your second row positions?
All right, thanks. So yeah, maybe a free code subscription if we win at least. Come on.
Well, paying you $25 for Supercoach Plus doesn't get you much apart from some stats on your screen. So.
Oh yeah, but code is a bit different. Code is all the articles and.
That's my point. I'd like some more articles, thanks.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Give us a code subscription. All right. Yeah. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening. We might sign off now that you've probably had enough of us. Thank you very much. Good luck in Supercoach finals. Get into that overall code 171086. That's 171086. There's already a stack of people in there. It's always good fun. Lots of banter to be had. Many thanks to Joey. Many thanks to
Corrupted.
Corrupted. I don't know who Corrupted is. Maybe let me know. Don't know, but anyway, many thanks for your commenting. A shout out to Big Dickus. He's still a bit unwell. Hopefully you're getting better there soon, Big. Any shout outs for you, Timmy?
No, mate, that's about it. Yeah, like we said, we'll do a debrief on the whole season in a couple of weeks' time, or once we get Supercoach finals over and done with. Outside of that, mate, you're obviously pushing on with Supercoach NFL. I'm doing it with the EPL. So if you're looking for some league codes or overall codes, head-to-head codes, whatever, jump onto our Supercoach Off the Bench Facebook page. There'll be some details on there, and then stuff gets shared from there to the other individual Facebook pages.
Your EPL, no doubt. EPL resumes this week after a crazy 11-day snooze fest for
international week
or something like that. So EPL is back. NFL will be coming into a second week. I actually had a pretty good week, but I don't expect that to continue. It's such a volatile thing. So, I've certainly started well, but let's see how we go.
Yeah, mate, it's I can't get into the NFL myself, but time is money, and I've got neither. So, I'll just stick with what I know in the NRL, the BBL, and the EPL. Finish with all the good L's, I guess. But yeah, no, it's good fun. Absolutely. It's all back on. Let's get stuck in. Bring on the finals and let's go Broncos.
All right. Evening. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. To all the listeners, I see there's still 7 of you actually still watching. Thank you very much. And you have a great evening and raise trade your ass off. Get into that Supercoach final.